Hey everybody, welcome to No Vacancy. I'm Glenn Hausman, and this week we're taking off, but we're giving you some of our favorite content from the year. We got a lot of great interviews in store for you, so stick around. And also, I want to thank our friends over at Avgo, the virtual front desk, which is human assisted. How cool is that? Give them a shot. Avgo, that's AAVGO. That way, they're going to help you manage the guest experience, and there's a lot of features: check in, check out, upsells, payment method collection, payment processing, reward program connectivity. And you don't need a human being on site, but some human being will be there helping your guests. Please check out Avgo and enjoy this special week of repeat shows. Thanks so much. Happy holidays, happy New Year's, and we'll see you back here in 2023. Anthony, great to see you. How are you today?
Zup!
Zup!
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hello, 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 one and all. Thank you for watching No Vacancy Live for June 16th, 2022. That's Anthony Melchiori. I'm Glenn Hausman. Anthony, so great to see you today. I'm dreaming about going on vacation.
Or listening to us. You said thanks for seeing us, but also listening to us.
Oh, that is true. And while we're at it, if you are listening to us, why not see us? Check us out on our LinkedIn pages, Facebook pages, YouTube, all of that kind of stuff. And if you're watching us, why not check out and subscribe to our audio feed? Or better than that, subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866. That's hotel to 66866. Anthony, I've been podcasting for a little while, and Suzanne and I were putting together the numbers. Turns out at this point, on this date, I have done more than 1,000 podcasts hosting different shows. How crazy is that?
Imagine by the 1012th, maybe you'll be good at it.
I may have hit that number. We may have to push it a little bit farther. I'm thinking 2,500. I'll have the formula down.
You're looking forward to your vacation, and I'm looking forward to my vacation, which will hopefully come in the next 10 years. And
Right.
Is that your house behind you?
No, unfortunately, it is not the Hausman Resort Pool Club and Smokehouse, but it is a phenomenal home from Marriott Home and Villas program.
That looks like the house in the area I live. The houses on the beach, which are ridiculous amounts of money. There's a house that looks similar to that.
Yeah, I wish it was my.
Yeah, and the pool where that pool is overlooking the ocean. So
now I may not be able to own it, but I can rent it, and that's thanks to the wonderful Jennifer Hsieh, VP Homes and Villas by Marriott International. Jennifer, exciting to be able to talk with you. This is our first time having any contact here. This is super duper exciting.
So excited to be here. You all seem like a pretty fun crew, so it'll be a good few minutes.
Yeah. All right. For some reason, Jennifer's can't hear you at all. Is that?
I can hear her. I hear her.
No, the other way.
Yep. I can hear you, Glenn, but I can't catch Anthony.
That's really weird.
You don't hear me?
That's never happened to us. All right, Jennifer, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to just refresh your browser, come right back in. I'll bring you in as soon as you return. All right?
Sounds good.
Thank you. All right. So, Anthony, as I'm planning my summer vacation, and I'm fortunate enough to be going to Hawaii this summer. So our good buddy Craig Sullivan has got a house that he puts into a rental pool. So until companies like Airbnb and great organizations such as Marriott started doing these homes and villas rentals, it usually was a lot more complicated to be able to find those properties. And it's nice that I have a buddy who could give me a place.
Yeah, and it's also great to have Marriott standing behind something like that.
Yeah, it sure is. All right, she's loading up her camera right now. I'll wait until she comes in before we get to that.
So tell me in Hawaii. Tell me, I know you've been to Hawaii before, but tell me the one thing that you're going to do that you're like crazy, can't wait to do it.
All right. A couple of things that we're going to be doing. I have not yet booked, but the one thing that we did book, and I booked it last night, was a great day-long trip to the volcanoes and black sand beaches, a dinner, dinner at a national park, and then another trip back to the volcanoes at night so you can see it at night. That is something I've never seen at night, so I'm really excited to see all of the glows and stuff like that.
That's fantastic. That
Yeah.
I remember when I was doing a show, Extreme Hotels, or no, Five Star Secrets from Four Seasons Maui. They brought in a helicopter that Michael Jordan had just rented the year before or the
Right.
week before, and flew us from with this unbelievable jet-looking helicopter over to Kona. We had a cup of coffee, literally picked the beans, pressed the bean, had a cup of coffee, and flew back on our helicopter. So if
Really?
you got an extra couple $100,000, you have to do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get right on
I
that.
got it for free. It was like I was just like, this is
Yeah, dude.
different level stuff, man.
I will tell you, it's one of the benefits of doing a television show. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
No, what's amazing is when you're doing it though,
Yeah.
and when you're living that lifestyle. When I was doing Five Star Secrets, you're living the lifestyle of Michael Jordan, right? What he's able to get,
Yep.
and you get real used to it real quick, and it doesn't feel unattainable, and it doesn't feel special after a while because we did so many of them that you're just like, yeah, that's a life. I'm a baller,
Right.
even though I'm not.
Yep.
Like I can see how people just get used to that lifestyle. So
Yeah. All right. So Jennifer's still having some connectivity issues. So let me ask you this, Anthony. How do you not get consumed with that? And I've seen so many celebrities and stuff like that completely change from the time they're discovered till they're on air.
I had a colonel that saved my life, and he saved my life by saying these words to me: "Hero today, zero tomorrow. 1,000 attaboys can be wiped away with one shit."
Mm-hmm.
So those moments were like that saved me. And plus, when I got on TV and the notoriety that I got when I was in my 40s. If I was 20, it may have been a problem. But when I got in my 40s, I've seen so many people crash and burn, and so many people let their egos. Listen, I have a healthy ego, but I know everything could be wiped away in a moment. So it's very easy for me. That's why it got so comfortable for me so quickly, because yes, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't in awe of it. And when I'm not doing Five Star Secrets anymore, I'm not like, oh my God, I would love to do the show, but it's not like I got to live that lifestyle. I'm very happy in my nice house near the beach, going to the pool, and I like the lifestyle I have. So I don't want that lifestyle unless it's given to me, from time to time, and it's free.
Right. Well, this is weird. Now Jennifer is saying she can't hear me, but she can hear you. Is that still correct, Jennifer? Well, she's not reacting, so I'm going to guess it is.
So Jennifer, we can't hear you or see you, but you can.
I can bring her in. I could bring her in. There she is.
Yep.
Now, I don't
Can
think
you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear Glenn?
Can you?
I can hear you, Anthony, but not Glenn.
Okay, so you got to really pick your favorite.
Lucky.
You like Glenn better than me, or you like me?
I feel like it's
so
happening right now. Glenn
we're
was with
gonna
me from the beginning.
So we're going to continue this like I'm Glenn. So, and then Glenn's going to be me, and he's going to say witty and funny stuff that have no relevance to our conversation.
And I'll ping you when Glenn comes and appears on my screen.
So tell me how these homes and villas, like how did it start? Like how did the program start? Why did it start? And then tell us how wonderful it is and why.
Yeah, it's a really fun story. So, back in 2017, so prior to leading Homes and Villas, I used to lead enterprise innovation for the company. And our job was looking at the future. What's the new? What's the emerging? And we did this, what we call an incubator with some startups. And the challenge to them was tell us what you think will drive a much better customer experience in travel in the future. And there was a startup there that really piqued our interest. And essentially, it was a professional property management company who grew out of really this burgeoning business around the shared economy. And so, as a company, we looked at trends like people were sharing everything: clothes, cars, homes, and places to stay was one of them. And we started with a startup, and they had about 400 homes in London. And in 2018, we launched the first pilot. It was actually not called Homes and Villas, it was called Tribute Portfolio Homes. And we launched it in April of 2018. And we brought to life about a couple hundred homes in London. And we built it off of this platform called Tribute Portfolio Homes. And we tested it in London specifically, and we got great feedback. Customers it was clear they were looking for a home product, a whole home product that was really different from hotels. And so we started with that. We expanded in October of 2018 and went to Paris and Lisbon, and we expanded the pilot. And after we expanded the pilot, we realized we've really got something here. And we took learnings from the hotel business model, which is we don't own our hotels. We have franchisees and owners, and we modeled a very similar approach. And we went quiet for a few months, and then in May of 2019, we launched Homes and Villas. And we really launched it because here's what we were hearing from our customers. In 2017, we did a survey, and we heard from our customers that 27% of them at that time were leaving the Marriott portfolio to go rent a home,
Right.
because they wanted a whole home product that gave them more space, the full kitchen and washer dry amenities. And we also, when we talked to customers, they said, hey, look, here's what I love. I love the product. Here's what I hate. I hate that there's too much stuff out there. It's hard for me to figure out what's good and what isn't good. I get nervous because I'm planning the vacation for my whole family. And what happens if I get to the house and it doesn't look like what I saw in the pictures? I'm going to get grief for the rest of the trip.
Right.
Or what happens if something goes wrong when we're there? And so when we built Homes and Villas, we built it from learning from our initial pilot, but we also built it against these things that the customer told us, things that they loved, which is we only do whole home rentals. We don't do anything shared. They want the space, they want the amenities. We curate it for them. And so my team goes through and we select the product that we feel like fits our customers' expectations. And we really focus on luxury and premium. And then, we have professional property managers that work with us. So if anything happens and goes wrong, we have somebody to support that guest. And so we built the business really trying to solve some of those pain points.
So was that 27% number pretty surprising to you when you saw that?
In 2017, it was. Now, so reminder for you, this is like pre-pandemic, right? And so when we thought about it, we thought, oh my gosh, why would nearly 1/3 of our guests leave our portfolio? We've got all these amazing hotels, 30 hotel brands from luxury all the way down to select. And so when we looked at that, we said, we've got to figure out a way to find a way to keep our customers in our portfolio. But on top of that, it's a really different product. Like when you look at the product that you see for our homes, on average, we've got guests staying 5+ nights, 3+ bedrooms, and they're telling us that they want the space. It's because they say, look, I want to be together with all my family and friends, but I still want enough space where I could go into a bedroom, shut the door, and not have to see them all the time.
100%.
And so, that number now after this pandemic and this really weird last few years, I think we, wouldn't be surprised if that was close to 40%
Wow.
of consumers.
So you think the last few years have been a little weird? What
Yeah,
happened?
I mean, what a roller coaster.
So, Glenn, what questions you have, young man?
All right. So I do want to say, and I know she can't hear me, but a little bit of what I think has been leading up to this. I think the desire.
You may have to repeat
product,
Glenn's question for me.
I'll repeat everything.
I think that the desire for this product has been in the marketplace for a lot of years. However, that side of the industry didn't have the sophistication of the hotel industry to bring it to the attention of the average consumer. So while there were people that rented vacation,
I hear you, Glenn.
Hey, so while
we did it.
I'm doing a little bit of piece that I was just saying that I think that the desire for people to stay in these homes has always been there. However, there was two things. It wasn't necessarily the technology in place for people to easily find those homes, combined with what you were talking about. I guess the disintermediation of everything. No real one place to go to make it easy on you. So in my opinion, it was a smart move for you to get in. And one of the first major hotel companies to see what was happening with some of those other non-traditional companies and saying, oh yeah, people want that trusted Marriott brand and they want a vacation the way that they want to today. And the way they've always wanted a vacation, they just didn't necessarily know about it or have access to it.
That's right. And I'll tell you, we probably have 15 to 20 white papers that we had done in the last 15 years about the sharing economy and this trend. And we always sat and we were like, this is what's happening. But it was hard to actually think about a business model that
Mhm.
would work for Marriott because
Right.
look, our brand, we make big promise to customers. When you stay with Marriott, it's about quality, trust, security,
Right.
safety, service.
Mhm.
And this industry had been really like, it felt like the wild, wild west. So when we built this business, we built it with a lot of learnings from the hotel business.
Mhm. Right.
So,
So, Anthony, I'm sorry, I'll let you take over 1 second, but I'm curious as to what that business model is. Of course,
yeah.
everyone knows that Marriott International is a traditional franchising company that's asset light. Is this division of the company the same formula, or are people putting homes into a rental pool, or is it something that I'm unaware of?
Yeah, so it follows much of the same formula. So what we do is we identify the world's best property management companies.
Mhm.
And those property management companies could be like the best little 4 generation owned beachside property
Right.
manager who's had, 50 homes by the beach for many, many years, or it could be some of these really large players.
Right.
And so the model is very similar to hotels, which is we find the best operators out there. We do a lot of due diligence and homework to make sure they know how to provide service. They're financially stable. So when a customer books today, that home's going to be available in a year or two, right?
Mhm.
And that they treat our data well. We do all this type of rigor, a light version of kind of what we do with our hotels, right? We take that learning and then we say, okay, we know you're a good operator. You'll take care of our guests well. And then we give them standards, just like we do with the hotels. Here's what your homes need to look like.
Right.
And they don't all have to look the same. Homes should look and
No, they
feel
should not.
different.
Right.
So something in Palm Springs will look really different than Gatlinburg.
I hope
Um,
so.
but what we do tell them is like, this is what clean means. And this is how soon you have to respond to a guest when a guest calls you. And so it's that similar model that we bring forward into this business, which is it's all professionally managed, professionally cleaned. It's got standards, and we know as a business and a company we can help support the guest.
Right. Yeah, that's a good thing because here at my house, I do the cleaning and our service standards in the toilet. Anthony?
In the early stages of doing this, what is the one thing that surprised you with all your experience, with all your white papers, and you seem to be a person that's always thinking 10 steps ahead. What's the
Yeah.
one thing is like, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I actually think one thing that surprised me, it's a little bit boring, is how fragmented and difficult this technology is. It is like to make the connections. Like we're used to hospitality in a hotel. There's like 2 or 3 big systems, data and information flows correctly. But when it comes to this world, it is so different. It's full of amazing entrepreneurs. But these are people who build their own PMS system, figure out how to make the connections.
Right.
Like their brother is taking photos of the home. And, while some of that can be a little bit unnerving for a corporate company to come into, and you're like, oh, wow. Um, it's brilliant. Like you get some great entrepreneurs out there who have solved problems. Like they have solutions in homes that detect noise level. And so like you have
Yep.
a noise detector in there and they can sense if you're having a party when you shouldn't be. And
Oh,
so they have actions. Right. And so they have really nuanced innovations that are super well designed in this space. So it's the tech is hard. The fact that it's entrepreneurially driven.
right.
It's great, but it's also a bit of a drawback.
Well, how do you get them to interface with your systems?
Yeah, well, we built it, and so we kind of we like to say we flew the plane while we were building the plane. And so when we started it, we said, okay, we've got the minimum viable product, and so we
Right.
talk about that all the time, and then we continually make it better. And it's just, I mean, it's tech talk, but we have our own systems and then we have various APIs that connect to all the different partners. And so
Well,
never perfect, but
listen, and our industry is not known to be tech savvy industry. I think we're getting there now.
yeah.
But there's one brand, it's not your brand, that every time I ran a hotel for an owner for this brand, they're like the PMS system, the reservation system, we're changing it. And it's being our reservation system's changing, I promise. I've been in the business 35 years. They've said
Yeah.
that and I'm not kidding. They said it for 18. So,
Yeah.
and it still hasn't changed. So it is
Funny.
something that we have been challenged with, but we are obviously seeing some serious, I think because of COVID, we've gone 10 years in the future.
It's funny. Anthony Systems, when he works with these hotels, are so old they actually hire archaeology students as opposed to hospitality students.
You thought of that joke
Hey.
through my conversation, and you were just like, I just can't wait to say
I
it.
was waiting till your sentence was over.
We've got some in our hotel business. We got some systems that are ready for retirement for sure.
Yeah.
Well, in Hotel Impossible, there's plenty of times when they pulled out the red logbook, and they're like, "Well, I have 27 check-ins today and 30 check-ins tomorrow." Oh, so, yeah, our technology has been lacking, but it's again, no upside, but the pandemic has definitely pushed us years in the future.
Yep.
Same thing with robots. I just was quoted in a Washington Post about the robots, and in the beginning I said,
On robots.
we were the cool kid on the block if we had a robot.
Yeah.
Now it's like, can I have 100 robots, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those robots, when I was doing work with robots, we had a few in the West End, and often we were testing it.
Yeah.
Those guys were so slow. I
Robots?
mean,
Yeah.
those robots were very, very slow, but the technology, if you get it right, where they can know which floor to go to and exit and pop
Right.
open the top and deliver a toothbrush,
It's
pretty
the best.
cool.
Particularly, I don't have to then have an interaction with a human being, and in those particular circumstances, that's not where I want to have that meaningful interaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Glenn is a robot. So, and he was slow. He's getting a little faster now.
I am. I'm learning. As we go.
That's a good point, Glenn. There is a good point that with robots, not to get off on a tangent, but with robots, there are moments where, like, I don't like opening my door when I need. I was going to say hair dryer. When I need toothpaste or something, I don't like it. I don't like having to interact with somebody at that moment.
Yeah.
It's really actually disconcerting. So knowing there's a robot coming and I can get it, it's actually makes me feel more comfortable.
Yeah. You know what? We see that in home rentals too, right? Like the pandemic fast forwarded everything to the point where like our customers in our hotels were leaning on the mobile experience, but in our home rentals, you get sometimes 0 people, and that's what they wanted. Like our customer said, I just want to go to the home, unlock the door, and have that space entirely to myself.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll have service folks go in. There's a lot of consumers who actually just want privacy. They say sometimes the best luxury is privacy. We saw that, and we see that definitely in the
the
trend.
people who say time is the best luxury will take offense at that, Jennifer.
Yeah. So that is also another good adage.
About maybe longer than that, maybe 7 years ago, I went to Turks and Caicos with my family, and it was during break, and everybody was down there, and we found the quietest part of the beach. We found the quietest rental, and with a food and beverage, a restaurant maybe 100 yards away that was away from our rental. And we had the entire beach to ourselves. And the only time I saw somebody is when I went to dinner a couple of times. But outside of that, I didn't want to see a human being. And that's kind of the trend now. And unfortunately, with everybody's getting used to not seeing people.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I just went on spring break. I have 3 kids. And
I was
so
gonna ask you, did you party in Daytona Beach?
I know. I was trapped in the
Daytona
house
Beach
with these
person.
3 kids for like 2 years, right? And
Yeah.
so
Where'd
we
you
were
go?
doing our first trip. And so we were like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, they're like, we can stay at homes and villas, my kids were saying. And I was like, actually, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna stay at the Ritz-Carlton Resort on Amelia Island because I don't need another business trip. I
Right.
want to go somewhere where you guys are all taken care of. No one has to ask me what to eat, what to do, anything.
Right.
But that was half of our trip. The second half, we stayed at a homes and villas with my extended family, and we had like 20 of us there. It was board games and beach, and that it was perfect. And that's
Where
my
was that
point,
one?
which is
Was it also Amelia Island?
right off. No, no, it was off of the Virginia Beach coast.
Mhm.
And so we said, and that's what our customers want. There are some times they're like, I just need to be pampered and I don't want my
Right.
kids to ask me for a single gosh darn thing. And then there are other times where you're like, this trip purpose is actually perfect for our home. We all just want to spend time together, make dinner together, do puzzles, go on the beach. And for us at Marriott, it's about like, how do we make that Bonvoy program more
Right.
powerful so customers can stay with us. The classic story is the road warriors, people who are out there staying, multiple days at our hotels during the week for business, and they've got this big stash of points. And now they can spend those points on their family,
Yeah.
on these like lake houses or ski chalets.
And the last thing they want to do is go to another hotel. But the most important question I have for you is when you said that I don't want to give my children, have them ask me for a gosh darn thing. When you say don't ask me for a gosh darn thing, do you really say gosh darn thing, or do you say?
No. Do you mean my inside voice? Because my inside voice is a
Hey,
whole
listen,
different thing than my outside voice.
my twins are 22, my baby's 19, so I don't say gosh darn. I say something, but it's not gosh darn.
That's
No,
hysterical.
for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
but great. Isn't it like, didn't you feel like it's the first time you went on vacation? Like,
it
because it's been so
was.
long, you've been so disconnected.
It was blissful. Both were really amazing for two different reasons. At the Ritz-Carlton Amelia Island, it was just a charming, hotel, great service. The kids felt like they could go swim at night. I mean, it's fantastic. I also managed to get them to a Justin Bieber concert while
Oh,
we were down
a
there.
good
Tried
thing
to be
because
a cool
between
mom.
him canceling all those COVID shows, post-COVID shows, and now canceling even more.
You
I
know why
know.
he's
I
canceling
got
them?
in there.
Yeah.
You know why he's canceling them?
But yeah, he's
He's
sick.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was really good. And then, when I asked them, what did you like better? Did you like kind of us being off on a resort on our own or spending all that time with your cousins where you guys were like playing games and staying up late and doing all those things? And they were like, we like both for different reasons. And
Right.
that's what's happening with our guests. Our
I
job
love
is to
it. I
be
love that
there.
you connected to the way that your kids are actually thinking and how that relates to, I think, the wider population. Interestingly enough, Anthony, I've just Googled it. They have 128 homes alone in the Hamptons. What kind of distribution do you have, Jenna?
128. Wow.
Homes in the Hamptons. Yes,
Yeah.
that was a big one for us. On our distribution, let me give you some good stats.
Yeah.
We launched in 2019 with 2,000 homes in 100 destinations.
Yep.
We are now over 60,000 homes
Oh,
globally. We
oh,
just announced we
oh.
entered in Australia and New Zealand. We are, what's so interesting is we're putting homes in places where you can't put a hotel, whether there are regulatory reasons, whether the destination doesn't support the economics of a hotel because it's so seasonal. And so by doing that, we're expanding the destinations that our Bonvoy customers can go to and still stay within our portfolio. And so we have been focused on grow, grow, grow,
Yep.
and still staying in the premium and luxury category. It's still like the number one thing we hear from our customers is, I really want to go to this place
Yep.
off the Jersey Shore, but you don't have enough homes for me in this very specific part of the beach.
Mm.
And so, we're continuing, like we've just grown more in Cape Cod. We're in Killington, Vermont now, where, it's a huge ski destination,
Yep.
St. Bart's. We're in lots of places that hopefully will continue to grow.
So I would imagine, based on this model, that this is when things are going. I have two questions. When things are going well, this is one of your most profitable parts of the business as far as different models, because there is very low FTEs. There is very low expense because someone else owns the home. I would imagine that the more you grow it, the more that this is very promising.
Yeah, well, I call us the best little startup in a big Fortune 500
Right.
company. And so so I would not say, like, certainly there's a lot, every startup has investments,
Right.
right? You have to build the technology, you have to build the marketing, you have to build the people to build the relationships with the property management company. And so, not unlike other startups, there's like an investment that happens up front. But you're right. The goal is to scale, but scale intelligently. We never want to be 6 million listings. That's impossible,
Right.
right?
So,
Because that's full of a lot of stuff we would never pick up. But
so
I think,
I'm
This is
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
this is as close to mailbox money as you can get.
Right.
Grow it.
ah,
But-
well,
but I
let's
don't want to make
let's
it that
pray
simple.
for that.
I don't want to make it. I'm just kidding. But I just know how complicated it is to run hotels. So, but I'm hearing in the Hamptons that there's a 30% vacancy rate this summer, and that is a little scary because last year everything was sold out by April.
Out early because
So
all the New Yorkers were going to the Hamptons to live, frankly, for the
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
right. So you say that with disdain in your voice.
Oh, I just want to. It's jealousy. It's not disdain.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
wish
say,
I
I
was,
would say
but
with
that was
jealousy.
me.
Yeah.
But how's the market in the Hamptons look right now?
Yeah, I haven't taken a look at it, but I do know that the biggest complaint for us last year was like, I still can't get in the Hamptons with 128. I'll take a look and see. We are seeing what's interesting is homes do tend to book up fairly early on. And my hunch is our Hamptons portfolio will probably be at 80+% occupancy of the
I wouldn't be
homes.
surprised too. In
What's
Montauk.
the number one home market in the country right now?
Yeah.
It's Orlando, believe it or not. Like in it, Orlando is the perfect use case.
Yep.
You know, you're taking your kids, you need those extra bedrooms, you want to stay a little bit longer because you can't catch all of Disney in 2 days. And so Orlando is the top market. And then when you look at where we're distributed in the country for US, you'll see us along the edges of the country. And
Right.
then a smattering kind of in the ski destinations around the Colorado and Denver area. But this particular type of business really does well. Like people just want to be near water.
Is there near water, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I moved near water, because I just couldn't live without water. I go over a bridge every day,
Yep.
in and out of my neighborhood, and I've never gone over that bridge where I haven't literally, thank God that I get over that bridge. That water literally just, I
That's
go from the city and the congestion and the nuttiness, and I go over that bridge and I'm like, it literally changes my life every day.
I know
Yeah.
what you
Right.
mean.
Something
When I
cathartic.
lived in Brooklyn, I would fill up my bathtub and just kind of sit and stare.
What is
I
the
hope you still have your house in Brooklyn.
I
It's
don't,
amazing now.
but
I
I
hope you
did.
sold it at the peak.
No, I've been out on Long Island now for 7 years, but I did, from what we bought it and we owned it for
Yeah.
4 years and sold it. The profit covered every expense we had during those 4 years. I mean,
I'm
unbelievable.
sure.
Yeah.
You know, the sign is there when like Whole Foods and
Yeah.
Trader Joe's start moving in.
I
The
know.
values are going to be phenomenal.
I bought a house in Brooklyn very long time ago, and I sold it for double. And the reason I lived near the water is because I sold it for double.
Oh, so back to the topic. We got a question from Lonnie.
I have a question. Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
All right, you ask and I'll ask. I'm
All
sorry.
right, Lonnie, our listener is saying, hey, what's the average square footage of a property? I'm going to say the answer is there is no average, but
There is no average, but I can tell you on average, we have 3+ bedrooms.
Okay.
Right. And
Interesting.
so we span anywhere from 1 bedroom. So sometimes, occasionally, you'll see like a super charming 1 bedroom condo right by the beach. But, you know, we have 18, 19 bedroom castles, estates, villas. And so we definitely span the gamut.
So did I just hear right that you invited us to do our show from a castle?
Oh, yeah. My feeling is the Wi-Fi would be really challenged there, but call me and we can work something
He
out.
did, but sadly, it's the White Castle over on Comac Road over here.
It's all about calling you. Send your information in our little box on the side so I have it. But what is the one market that was surprising to you that you were like, they want houses there?
Not
Yes.
Venice.
So it's not one market, it's like a trio of markets.
Okay.
Pigeon Forge,
Oh,
Gatlinburg,
I'm
and
a Dollywood for people who
Sevierville.
don't know. Mhm.
I was gonna say Pigeon Forge because when I went there, we did a show there, and when I went to Pigeon Forge, it's the first time I ever had moonshine at Smokies,
Oh,
and at 7:00 in the morning. If you ever want to get drunk quick, have Smokies moonshine 7:00 in the morning.
well,
You
we
zip it
can
up drunk.
put you in a really great house for you to take a nap at shortly thereafter.
Pigeon Forge was
that-
literally the most shocking place in America to me
Why was it shocking to you?
because it's so busy.
It is insane. Like I did not know. Like first of all, I am a Dolly Parton fan. She's amazing. Haven't been to Dollywood, but I had no idea that trio of destinations represents one of the top vacation rental
So
markets
we didn't
out
get
there.
the other two parts. Is one of them Branson?
No, I was just saying it was Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, and Gatlinburg together.
Okay, the
We're
whole.
starting. It's a little cluster, and it's super popular. Branson is good. I also have you all heard about a place called Idaho?
No.
No,
If you Google Idaho, giant plate of cheese fries shows up. But Idaho is as it sounds. It's right between Wyoming and Idaho,
Oh,
and it is gorgeous. Like the pictures that we have of the homes, it's prairie lands. You get in a pretty rustic looking home potentially, and it's just that's the life.
I just want to go so I can say when people are, where'd you go? I went to Idaho.
That's right. And so, I mean, this has been lots of discovery in the last few years. I mean, we just celebrated our 3-year anniversary, so
Wow.
we've been in business 3 years, and I was just reflecting on the fact that I had no idea how many like wonderful little places were tucked away in this country,
yeah.
and people were doing that when they were driving for the pandemic.
Yep.
Glenn, if I may, can I follow up on something?
Yes, sir.
You give us a good opportunity to pitch the hospitality business right now. You are an entrepreneur in a global company. You are an entrepreneur in a front desk housekeeping kind of company, right? Because people think
Yep.
front desk and housekeeping. You're in a position in a company in a low paying field, right? And everybody I know that's been in this business for a long time drive nice cars and live in nice homes. And my point being is, if you start and you really love this business, is there any limit to what you can do?
I mean, no, it's the customer, right? That's going to tell us. It's
Right.
what people are going to choose and how they choose to travel. And my job is to make sure we bring the amazing housekeeping and front desk, right, from our hotel part of the business into this business because
No, but
that's
I'm
what's
saying
missing in this industry.
from your career, you went.
Yeah.
What was the first job in the hospitality business?
That first job at Marriott,
First job, yeah.
Well, you've been
I
in
went in.
strategy and innovation for like
Yeah, it
10,
was in
right?
strategy and innovation at that time. You know what they called the team? Creative operations.
But what was
And
your first hospitality job
It
back in?
was it's back at Marriott. I started about 12 or 13 years ago. And so I've never worked fully on property. I've had my share of tough jobs all the way from retail to, assistant. But for sure in hospitality, I went into Marriott because I love studying people. I used to work at Target Corporation, and
Mhm.
my job there was to watch people and study them to see what they buy and why they chose the cereal on the top shelf versus the middle shelf. And so I took all of that and brought it over to Marriott to say, okay, what's the future? Should we be looking at robots, virtual reality, voice control, sharing economy, and all that stuff started building into this business, and I love it. I mean, I spent, quite a few years within the operations team, like kind of getting schooled a little bit, right,
Right.
on the fundamentals of how you run and how I know the backbone of every good hotel is housekeeping. And I
Yep.
know you can't overload the front desk, right? And so all those lessons learned helped bring it forward into this business. And I've got a great team.
Well, with your great career and with everything you've done, I'd
Yeah.
imagine you probably didn't even realize that your skill
Oh,
set could be in the hospitality industry or the hotel business. Did you ever think
no.
the hotel business when you were in college?
No, 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 not at all. I was like, "Oh gosh, I'm gonna go study art history for forever."
Right.
And so, I think what the hospitality business brings, I think that attracts me, which is why I've been here for so long, is heart and
Mhm.
people and like that warmth. And that's why Marriott's amazing. But I think it anchors on the fact that like you're hopefully making a difference in someone's life about a great family vacation. And those are like moments that people work really hard to get to. And so, I think my principle always has been like, let's do right by our guests and let's do the hard work for them. And I think if you kind of build a business model that works with that at its core, the business will flourish. And that's a little bit like optimistic, right? It's tough sometimes. Like you're working in a Fortune 500 company that's not used to having startups.
Yeah.
And so this idea of like not being perfect and fully planned out, because when we roll things out at Marriott, the hotels, right? We roll those out to like thousands of hotels and we get it to pretty darn perfect.
Mhm.
Whereas my team has to think about like, how do I get it to good enough, test it, learn it, fix it, along the way, and it's like it's a very different pace.
Yeah, interesting. So, how do you, being that you come from that innovation background, how do
Yeah.
you see innovation moving forward in your segment and perhaps the wider hospitality industry to make it
Yeah.
all more cohesive and stuff?
Yeah. I think like when you look at some of the big macro trends,
Mhm.
and so people often think about macro trends differently. A trend is actually something that's been in the world for like several years.
Right.
And what you're seeing is that consumers want experience over things.
Yeah.
These last few years have proven it. Like the rush to get back into travel, huge. I think there's a massive blur that's happening in every part of people's lives,
Hmm.
whether it is work and leisure, hotel to home to apartment, like everything is beginning to meld together. And so for us, our job is to make things better digitally
Hmm.
so consumers can be anywhere they want. Um, and to really then focus on like carrying some of the things that they expect from when they order at Amazon into what's that experience when you're at a home.
Right. And if you, that Amazon is a really great example because what
Yes.
they've done is they've made things so easy.
Yep.
It actually makes you make more purchases because it
That's right.
knows what you want through machine learning and just has removed all of that friction from the
Yeah.
product.
We think about that all the time. So we think about when you go onto our site and you look for homes, I should know that you have kids, right? Or I should know that you are an avid skier.
Right.
And then when I see you look at a house, just like Amazon does, I should be able to say, if you like this, then you'll like that,
Right.
and be able to serve those things up for you. And so we're on the path to getting much more intelligent around that. And that's the future, which is time is a luxury, and
Mhm.
people don't want to filter through thousands of products.
Right.
They want to be able to say, okay, in the first 2 pages, you've given me some really good choices that feel like you know me.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't wanna have all of that amount of choice, right? It gets back to that whole
Yeah,
notion of the paradox of choice. When you have too many
that's right.
choices, that in itself could become paralyzing and you'll lose that sale.
And the thing about renting a home is it feels like it could slip away at any time. It's
Mhm.
just that one home that you wanted, and it's
Right.
for that week that fit your kids' spring break. And so we certainly have this sense of urgency when a customer finds that right home. They're like, "Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
I
I got to
know.
get it now before it goes away." And largely it's true.
I know that sense of urgency because I was trying to buy a flight on Delta and it's like 3 seats left at this price. I'm like, "Ah, better act
You got to
now."
book it now.
I think they do that on purpose.
Oh, they definitely do that on purpose.
But you just put something up that I was thinking about before was Amazon. So if I'm going to a home and I'm going to have my family there, and there's maybe 15
Yep.
coming, and maybe we want to have, I don't know, we want to have races in the backyard. We all want to wear shirts, blue and red shirts, and I just want to have a whole bunch of stuff sent to the house,
Yeah.
and somebody's renting the house the day before. Like,
Yeah.
how do you coordinate that to make sure if it gets there the day before that you get there? I would imagine that you've run into those problems.
Yeah, you do run into those problems. And so I would like we would intervene and say, okay, Anthony, if you really need that, ship it to their head, like the company's office, and then they'll bring it to you, right? Because it's just too risky otherwise. But yeah, we are looking into partnerships. And so Marriott has a partnership with Uber. We're going to be launching an awesome promo for Uber Eats.
Mhm.
Grocery delivery is also on our, view. I mean, for some of our luxury products, we do fridge fills. And so when you get
Nice.
there, like the fridge already has water and snacks for you after a long day of travel. And so
Right.
we've got lots of different cool executions around that.
So if you had to narrow down the next 3 to 5 years
Yeah.
from a technology standpoint, and I'm worrying about my business standpoint, 3 to 5 years, I'm sure you have a 5, 10, 15-year program, but what are the 3 to 5 years top three that you worry about or you're focused on?
That we're focused on. One is we got to get a better digital experience for us at Homes and Villas. As I think that there are players out there that make the digital experience incredibly seamless. I think,
Mhm.
frankly, airlines do a really good job, right? And we're not quite there yet. We've got to get our digital experience more robust. I know for us, our roadmap within Homes and Villas is um, it's a big priority, but it's a big beast to bite off. And so while sometimes I want to be like, hey, I can just go find somebody who can build an app, right? That's not going to work because I'm in a big company with a Marriott Bonvoy app when we should kind of figure out how to fit within it.
Yeah.
And so the mobile digital experience is incredibly important. And it frankly unlocks a lot of the experience. It unlocks the front door sometimes, right? And it unlocks your ability to get food, delivery. And I just want it all seamless within our world. I think
How do you
another,
know? But how do you know when it's time to release something as opposed to just keep
oh, you're
at it?
asking the wrong person because I
I,
release.
I
Like I I go, we're like, okay, let's turn it live for 12 hours. And so
yeah.
if it's something that you can unwind, we go.
Oh,
Right.
I
Now,
love
if
this
if
philosophy.
if something if someone's gonna get physically hurt, we don't do that, obviously. But if it's like if I'm gonna tweak language, if I'm gonna change and introduce a function, we go and we test it.
Yeah, where I was
Um,
reading one of Colin Powell's books, he said he's a 70% person. And I
yeah.
like that because I go with, the information. You can't wait too long. You can't wait, and go without some information. But
Or you
anyway,
lose the opportunity,
right.
right? And so, but
So
yeah,
what's
no,
your
that's
other
huge.
thing that you're worried
The
about?
other thing, I did work on this quite a while ago. We introduced a pilot in our hotel rooms with Amazon on Amazon Alexa
Hmm.
and voice.
Yep.
And at that time, I think that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's time to
And
do it again.
voice was very early in its stages and people were very nervous. But I mean, I know how I live is voice is so much easier sometimes for me than actually picking something up and typing.
Right.
And so, and when you're in your home setting, I don't know if you all have any of those
We
devices,
do.
but if you do, it's in the kitchen typically, and
Yep.
or
That's
the
where our
living
business is.
room, and it's controlling, right? And so it's controlling systems, lighting, aircon, all of those things, and it's a smart home, and it frankly provides entertainment too. And so
Right. I would tell you, Jennifer, after the last few years, I think generally speaking, the American public in particular has really moved forward and is not only not worried about any privacy issues anymore regarding
yeah,
that, but they're coming to rely on it. I'm
that's
finding
right.
now that wherever I am, I'm like, hey, Alexa. And I'm like, oh, it's not
Uh,
here. You
That's
know,
right. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's only
and
place 5 years ago.
I'm the opposite. I don't want. I'm the opposite. The only time I use voice is in my car or on my phone. Like right now, I'll do it. But
yeah,
in my home,
Oh,
and everything,
yeah.
I unplug everything and I put it in the garage. I don't.
Well,
and you've
Anthony,
got
for our family, Alexa's the ultimate arbiter of our dinner time arguments. So it's very
How's
crucial
that work?
that we have her nearby. Works out well for Alexa.
What
I
do
wish
you say, Alexa? What should we eat for dinner?
no, it's like Alexa, and we'll ask her a particular fact that we're
that's
arguing
right.
over about. Yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
Or
yeah.
Alexa, call, the local pizzeria so we can order it without having to move. And so I think that as an experience is much more seamless. And so I love being able to go into a home and saying, Alexa, turn on, jazz or whatever. I don't
yeah,
listen
I
to
like
jazz.
that.
I listen to Justin Bieber, but I like being able to tell her that, right? And
Yep.
it sets the ambiance. It goes back to our old hotel roots, right? Which is like nothing sets the stage more importantly than lighting and music when it comes to food and beverage experiences, et cetera. And so, like, how do you bring that in a way into a home and give the customer control over that? I think that that's huge. Um, and then the third thing that I love, to think about and talk about, I think Glenn, you brought up is like AI and not artificial intelligence, assisted intelligence,
Mhm.
augmented intelligence.
Yep.
How do we help our guests get to the outcomes that are looking for faster and easier? And for us, it's a lot on our platform, which is how do we help you select the right product?
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting that when internet first came up, we would have dial up, and if we waited a minute, be like, all right, it's a minute, we'll be
Yeah,
fine. Now, if literally, if it's not like you go to Google and it doesn't come up in 0.0 seconds,
correct.
like the internet's down, everybody. Wait,
Unplug it, replug it.
how many families have worked together during COVID, school and work and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff, and then literally as soon as the internet stuff, everybody's in the hallway. What happened to the internet? Dad, what's the code? What's
Oh my
going
God.
on?
So true.
Right? My whole life just ended. And by the way, when you just said about Alexa is solving your problems because she knows the answer. In my house, I don't need Alexa because my youngest knows everything. So we just
You don't challenge that youngest because oftentimes my kids will be like, "What's this?" And I'll be like, "Let's ask Google."
No,
Let's see what Google says.
my youngest insists she knows everything, so we're good.
Did you I mean, my kids roll their eyes when I tried to explain to them that when I grew up, there was no internet
Listen,
and that we had encyclopedias.
my daughter, who really kind of didn't grow up with the iPads, like that got introduced. Like she didn't get an iPhone till 8th grade and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not like kids there. Like I saw a kid, literally a 2-year-old yesterday with an iPad. I know she was stupid because her mother said it's her friend, and she had an iPad. So my kids didn't grow up with that. So you would think like my daughter said to me maybe a couple months ago, I was in the car and she goes, well, you always had Google Maps and stuff. I said, no. MapQuest, big for us.
Paper map.
Without MapQuest. But when I was growing up, we'd go to the gas station, get a map, or ask the guy at the gas station. And then we'd send it the wrong way. And then you get pissed off, and then you would go get a map.
Well, I had some Hagstroms in the trunk of my car always.
But it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. We all stop to think.
Yeah.
Think about where we were 100 years ago, and think about where we were 10 years ago. Again, Glenn's heard the story, but my friend David Malili came to me when I was working at the Lucerne Hotel 25 years ago and said, hey, I'm going to start a reservation system for boutique hotels. And I go, what's a reservation system for boutique hotels? He goes, online. I go, what do you mean? People aren't going to use their credit cards online. Maybe it was 30 years ago. And so, and then all of a sudden here we are where it's, an inconvenience to get up and, open the lights or close the lights.
Yeah. And P.S., people are not using cash anymore. There are whole countries for which cash is like irrelevant.
I don't understand.
It's all this.
Listen, being an Italian, I don't understand the whole no cash thing. I tell my kids, you need $40 in your pocket at all times. I carry a couple hundred, but like I always have cash in my pocket. I have never once walked out of my house without money.
I mean, I think this is part of like when we think about Homes and Villas as a startup, our job is also not only to look in the future and what the customer wants, is to figure out how to be agile, because that old saying, like only those who can adapt are the ones who survive. Like imagine the fact that, if you build your whole business on receiving cash and in 20 years it's going to be completely irrelevant. How do you deal with that? And change is happening at a much faster pace these days, which is why our job is always to say, hey, what's the future view? What's the 3 to 5, the 10, the 20 view? And sometimes you make bets that are wrong.
Yeah.
When we have advertising stuff, Glenn insists just to take Bitcoin. And I think that's
I don't know about that.
That's not true. It's not Bitcoin. I want to be paid in German bearer bonds is what my rule is.
You didn't think you would come on this show and laugh as much, did you?
I mean, I had a sense. Charlotte, they gave me a heads up. These are pretty fun guys.
All right. I'm sorry to disappoint you. That turns out we're not. But she was actually referring to us being a couple of mushrooms. Get it, fun guys.
That was a dad joke.
Yes. Well, I'm a dad. So it's
5 years from now, I guarantee you there'll be mushrooms and things like that being delivered by Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not talking about the type of mushrooms they deliver now, I'm sure.
Depends on where you are.
You could go to some other companies, which I won't mention here because you're with Marriott and we
That's right.
Some good reputation of your organization. Jennifer,
but it was interesting because we had a company on that's not, Hilton, but it's a big company yesterday, Omni, and they're owned by one individual. And they were talking about a lot of the fast movements that they can do that the big companies, frankly, like you, cannot do. But that you're in this startup, I think that's going to really lend itself to the rest of Marriott to see, hey, if we have capable people in leadership, we can move fast. And not only we can move fast, we must move fast. I remember seeing Mr. Marriott go from, creating the brand with Ian Schrager and then working with us at Nickelodeon and then coming with us at Nickelodeon. So one day he's literally in 1 week, he's in New York with Ian Schrager, one of the coolest people who's ever lived in the hospitality industry. And then he's literally standing next to SpongeBob. So, I swear to God, I remember getting the 2 printouts and sending it to a friend saying that is such a cool visual that's where Marriott's going. And so, Marriott did start about, I'd say 15, 20 years ago, really start understanding the customer. Whereas I don't know if 20 years before that, hotel companies really even took that much consideration. So Marriott's always been in the forefront.
It is, and it goes back to our roots. Like you've probably heard all the Mr. Marriott sayings, which is like success is never final. So we're always going to change and evolve. But just think about the power of having the ability to be agile, think like a startup, be
Yep.
customer focused with the power of our scale.
Right. All
Right?
right.
We're the biggest hotel company.
Before we wrap up, Jennifer,
Okay.
what would you suggest to people, since you've been so focused on innovation for the majority of
Yep.
your career? How do we get into that innovation mindset in order to break free some of the ideas that we didn't even realize we might be shackled to?
Yeah. So a couple of things. I'm a strong believer in customer-led design. You got to look at your customer. So if it's an owner, a franchisee, a guest, you got to focus on that. And I'm
Mhm.
also a big believer in looking at adjacent and non-relevant um, industries,
Right.
right? It's not infrequent that we do experiences and make the analogy, what does it feel like when you come out of prison? Right. And so we will go and we will think and get inspiration in when we do our work, I
Right.
don't just go to other hotels.
Mhm.
That's just more of the same because frankly, a lot of our operators and
Right.
franchisees operate across other brands.
Mhm.
I go to retail, I go to fitness, I go to digital experience, and we anchor ourselves in things that feel unrelated, but you kind of get those kernels of truth.
Yeah,
So keep,
such an important thing because I use Enterprise and then I use other car companies from time to time if I can't get a car. And I ask all the time, what's different in the water at Enterprise that is not somewhere else? Because they're training really well and they're very, very capable. You know, I've started going to Orange Theory and their people at Orange
yes,
Theory are at a different level. And even Starbucks, you know, Starbucks is such a big company, but I can't remember the last time, and I'm not a big Starbucks person, but I go for my daughter. I can't remember the last time I went into Starbucks and somebody was rude. And so you can learn from a lot of different industries.
yes.
It's critical to learn.
Yep. That's my biggest tip. Get
Yeah.
outside of your box.
And I love what you said, and I wrote it down. Glenn, have you ever seen me write notes from a guest before?
No, but I also don't pay attention to what you're doing. So.
Oh, okay. That's great, Glenn. I love you too. But I took a lot of notes because I'm asked a lot of these questions, and I want to kind of remember them. Success is never final. I am going to find out who originally quoted that, and I'm putting it on my social media today.
Mr. Marriott, that's one of his sayings. It's part
Success
of our core
is
value.
never final.
Success is
Think
never final.
that's I've never heard that before, and it's just so relevant. And people ask me all the time. It's like, what's next? It's I want to be happy because success is never final. I mean,
Yeah.
so if I focus on what success I had yesterday,
Mhm.
that's not the objective. The objective is to be happy, and that's because I love that. I love those three words are amazing. Forward.
Awesome. You
Yeah.
can
Awesome.
attribute it to Mr. Marriott.
Jennifer, how about a good shameless plug for
Oh,
Homes and Villas?
take a look at Homes and Villas by Marriott.com. Over 60,000 homes. Some of them are going to be great inspiration. And I always look at places
Mhm.
where I feel like it's even better than my own personal home. So you'll get lots of great inspiration. Castles,
Beautiful.
condos, and cabins.
And that's what people are looking for these days, because being
That's right.
just like home or not as good a home just isn't cutting it anymore. Jennifer, I'm going to contact you about how to get the House and Resort Pool Club, Smokehouse, Dispensary, and Brewery on your listings over there. 'Cause
Definitely.
I've got a sleeping bag I throw out in the backyard. I'm thinking about pitching a tent for people. So we're going real deal.
You'll have a hard time getting through our ops review, but okay.
All right. Well, we'll see about that. All right. Jennifer, thank
Do
you
me a
so
favor,
much. You've been absolutely wonderful.
putting your contact information in chat so I can bother you for castles and condos and
For sure. Here you
Beautiful.
go.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Take care. Have
Thanks.
an awesome afternoon. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right, that was really cool. I love it because we never know what the conversations are going to be like, right? When we
And,
get into it.
but I also like talking to people that didn't come up in the industry and
Mhm.
that came up from a different industry, especially in the technology and consumer
Yeah.
behavior areas, because I am just so tied to the operations that sometimes it's really hard for me to clear that to really just see,
Mhm.
the from 50,000 feet
Right.
and really understand how people and things are moving. Like what I love to do, what relaxes me? I know this is the weirdest thing in the world,
Yeah.
but every once in a while I'll go on to see where all the planes are
Yeah.
in the world. You
That's
can go
cool.
on that map and see the 50,000 planes in the
Uh-huh.
air. And I just watch who's going to Australia, whatever. And to me, that's like, it takes you out of the Are the flight attendants nice? Is the captain, good? Is the airplane clean? It's like, what is the trend? Why is everybody going to Europe in like 9 o'clock in the morning? It's like, and I love that kind of knowledge. And she was absolutely wonderful. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Yep, awesome. All right, everybody. Speaking of something else that's wonderful, well, that of course is our audio feed if you're watching on video, and our video feed if you're watching on audio. For audio, find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, wherever you get your shows. Well, we are there, and of course on video, we're available on our respective Facebook pages, LinkedIn pages, Instagram, all of that kind of stuff. And don't be afraid to check out NoVacancyNews.com or our YouTube page as well. Reach out to us. He's at Anthony Hotels. I'm at Traveling Glenn. Ready to go?
Last time I slept in the castle, it was haunted.
Yeah. That was when you were thinking about doing a show about that sort of stuff.
No, we did a show called Haunted Castles or whatever. And it was the Blue Boy. That I was not afraid of the Blue Boy. I was in the room. I slept like a baby. But now every once in a while, I'll be sleeping and I'll go, I think the Blue Boy's here. So
that's funny. I'm not afraid of the Blue Boy, but I am afraid of the big boy, Bob's big boy. He frightened me. He was always looked too happy.
That is funny. All right, take it out.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See y'all next week. Don't forget, Friday Night Audit tomorrow at 5.
Friday.